Well, welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Watch? I'm here with John Paul Mantilla, my sidekick, and Mike Eishelman, who's joining us again because he just didn't feel like he was tortured enough from Friday the 13th, the series of Warehouse 13. So I thought, what horrible thing could I do to him and us? Because, you know, we have to watch it too. And I came up with two sci-fi series, Lex and Happy. And I hate myself for it.
Torture porn. Torture porn.
So let's start out with the worst of the worst, which is Lex. For those of you who have not seen it, and unless you really want to feel your brain melt, don't see it. It's basically like softcore porn on the Sci-Fi Channel. Though it wasn't originally on the Sci-Fi Channel, I believe it was like something either BBC or Germany, I believe, put it out, and it just kind of jumped back around from that.
It was actually a Canadian and German production.
There you go, Canadian.
I did all the fun research on this one this time.
Because John Paul was like, "There's titties in this."
Because there's titties in this one. That's right.
So the premise of Lex, in case you know, so you can have this fulfilling knowledge all of your own, is basically the light universe is run by this creature called the Shadow, or actually shadows, because they have a lineage that's contained in human brains, and they dominate the entirety of the light universe, and they're not really the nicest people, and it's very much, you will follow my laws or we will either execute you or force you to become something that will follow the laws. So our main character is
Nazis.
Yeah, Nazis. Fascists. They're fascists.
Yeah.
You have Stanley Tweedle, who's security officer 4, who's also known as the Grand Traitor, because he was captured and had like a DNA map in his tooth. They like had like where all the bases were for the resistance, basically. I'm summing it up badly. They use different terms. Who after that they let him live, but he had to work for them as this low class little security guard. And we have Zev, was in the wife bank. Basically, she was raised in a box to be a perfect wife, but she was fat and had, you know, warts on her face. So therefore, unattractive and unwanted. And when she met her to be was like a child of like what, maybe look preteen. He rejected her. She punched him in the face, which I was like, go girl. So her punishment was she was going to become a sex slave. So her punishment was they were going to give her the perfect body, the perfect face, and basically huge sex drive and like no free will, where she would just want to love whoever she was being assigned to. But as that was happening, a prisoner escape was happening, and a cluster lizard rolled up into where this was happening. So she got the perfect body, the perfect face, the sex drive, but kept free will because a cluster lizard ended up in the machine with her. So she also got mutated with the cluster lizard. So super strength, it doesn't come into play very often, unfortunately. And then we have Kai, the undead assassin, who was a resistance fighter of the Borangi centuries and centuries. I think thousands
2,000 years. As he told us over and over again in an emo tone.
Yes. And yeah, he's kind of like your goth guy. I mean, you know, the goth love interest that can't function
with the amazing hair. Come on, don't forget about amazing hair.
Oh, the amazing hair poof. Yes.
Definitely. Oh, it was epic. It was like a pompadour on steroids.
Like beehive, but not. It was
beautiful. It was so emo.
It was a bit much for me, but you know, he killed it. And it all goes to, as they're breaking out, they all end up like piling together because one, Kai, the undead assassin, is trying to kill them. Stanley Tweedle ends up with the key to this ship that is a living bug, huge bug with, you know, planet destroying powers. And Zeb ends up like running in with them, and they all end up on the ship, and then they travel the light universe and then later the dark universe together, trying to find a place where they can fit in. And sexcapades ensue. It's a brain melting series, folks. I would say the first 2 seasons though are a little lighter and a little funner, more fun. Still really problematic. Really problematic. I mean, like apparently in order for a girl to lose her virginity, she can't do it when she has a penis.
Well,
It's true.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
true.
According to the series. So Zev, who had been raised in that bank, wants to have sex. She's got two choices on the ship: the dead guy who doesn't have working equipment, who she wants, and Stanley Tweedle, who does have working equipment, who wants her and she does not want. And if you saw the characters, you can kind of figure that out. Plus, he's whiny. It's not even just that he's not attractive; he's a very whiny creature.
What are you talking about, guys? What are you talking about?
And I forgot 790. She also so when she was about to become the love slave, and she ends up getting knocked out of the chamber that they're trying to convert her in, she picks up the robot that was running the process and sticks his head in there, and he ends up getting the love slave programming. So he sees her and he's madly in love with Zeb. So she has this handy little shadow robot head that travels the universe with him until
the head. Don't forget about the head. Make with the head.
Until eventually it breaks and then it gets repaired by Kai, and then it ends up being madly in love with Kai. But at any rate, the beginning, first two seasons, it's in love with Zeb. But yeah, there's an episode where there's a toxic waste that makes them switch genders. And then that's like the first time she has sex. She actually has sex with Stanley Tweedle, but she has a penis and he has a vagina. And so she asked the assassin if that means that she lost her virginity. And he's like, nope, doesn't count that way. It's kind of like the problematic theme that keeps going on. It's a very...
I mean, all I can say is, how can a show that has Tim Curry, Rector Howard,
Barry Bostwick,
Malcolm McDowell, how can it have all these like known great actors be this horrible?
Nigel Bennett too. Let's not forget Nigel Bennett.
Oh, I forgot.
Right?
Anybody of Forever Night fans, you might remember him.
Yeah. It just, oh man. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry we tortured you with this. Because
I mean, I'm not. We had to get tortured too, so it's fine.
Right?
But what's crazy is, I remember when it was on, and I remember watching a couple episodes and going, hey, this is kind of cool. And I don't know if it was because I was young or my pervy side of me. I don't know. But even now, I'm just like, it's not just cringeworthy. It's just not good. Because, see, like, we had Farscape come out around the same time as this. Deep Space Nine. What's the other one? A couple other sci-fi where the CGI looked 100 times better.
Right. I was saying to Jenny when we were starting that the only redeeming quality of the show when I first watched it was the time slot. Because it was on that Sci-Fi Friday block where they had Invisible Man at 8 and then Farscape at 9 and then this. So by then I was just a gelatinous blob on the couch. So I think I just watched it by default. And again, like you pointed out, it was pervy. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'll roll with this, There's going to be a shitty movie on at 11 on Sci-Fi. I'll just use this as a palate cleanser from the good TV.
Or Mystery Science Theater reruns.
Right, there you go.
I think that's what it was, because I don't remember it being this awful when I first watched it. But I think when I first watched it, I only saw 2 seasons. I remembered it not being good, don't get me wrong. But it was like, I think at the time when I watched it, when it came out, it was like, it was light and entertaining. And it didn't seem as just vile as it. Though the ship had always disgusted me. So the ship, which is named Lex, it's the Lex. So that's where the name of the series comes from. It's like a giant dragonfly.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a penis. Now I see it.
Well, depending.
It's a dragonfly that kind of looked like a penis. We can go with that.
Depending on which season, because it does change shape.
Yeah.
And then it was the most disgusting thing you had ever seen. Like the outside of it wasn't as disgusting as the inside. Like everything.
It was ribbed for her pleasure on the outside.
That's right.
It was. On the inside, it was hairy and gross and spewed.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was disgusting.
And had toilets that had tongues. They were very happy toilets, though. Happy toilets with huge tongues. It was. I might have nightmares.
Well, and the thing is, this could have been a good show about an allegory about, fascism and and Germany and Nazis and all this stuff. And then it turned into like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Right.
What the fuck?
They had a great premise, and yeah, you're absolutely right. The structure of the religion combined with the government and light and dark. I mean, it's sci-fi writing 101. But then as it progressed, you realize that the writing was more sexist, racist, and xenophobic than the actual characters were.
And I'd say transphobic by the time we hit season 3.
Oh, absolutely. And
Definitely.
homophobic too. I mean, we can tap all of the different minorities and say how terribly they were treated on this show. But you know what?
Yeah.
If this is the actual future, thank God I'm a white male heterosexual, because I will have a fighting chance in this bizarre divine shadow run future.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are screwed.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if you got it also.
So they might shove me in a machine and make me look attractive. I don't know.
They were also supposedly bug creatures.
Yeah,
as a part of
like
their
the
race.
Insects versus humans.
Right. So
The shadows, yeah.
Yeah, so it went like Starship Troopers, but you're like, what?
Right.
Yeah, it just gets weird. And I mean, not weird in a good way, but weird like, why? You had so many ways you could go with this that would have been decent, and this is just, I mean, the one thing I could say that were kind of fair about, like the person who most often, well, I guess this isn't quite fair. The person most often who was sexually assaulted was Stanley Tweedle, as opposed to, the female character, which is a nice switch, I guess. But we could maybe
unless you're him, and then
I mean, unless you're him, right? It's just out there,
right? Yeah, I mean, and it seemed like the further it got, the smaller the budget got too.
I would agree.
The shows should be building on themselves, but we got to a point where like we have $600 and 20 episodes that we have to film, and we have a bag of sand. We're having a desert.
We're going to work with it. I mean, I will admit one of the weirdest episodes, which I really, really enjoyed, was the musical episode.
That was good. I liked that. Yeah. And I think when I had to make a list of my favorites, I picked the Shakespeare episode.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one too.
It was hilarious.
I will say this. Now, there are weirder episodes where they were like really just like letting their actors just go fucking nuts. Like the one where they rescued the frozen camp kids, which, by the way, recurring theme on Lex. If the ship Lex rescues you, you're going to fucking die.
You're going to die.
But
oh yeah,
they kind of, so they have kids that were pleasure cruising on their rich dad's, well, one of the kids' rich dad's space shuttles, and they end up frozen and floating around for hundreds of years or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when when the crew of Lex and the Lex rescues them, it's like an 80s horror movie, and they go to wake up Kai, but they tell him to become a serial killer, like the slasher movies. So it does, which, by the way, I guess we kind of skipped this over. So Kai was a mindless assassin that just killed whoever the Dark Shadow told him to.
Yes.
But at some point, while he was on the Lex, where all the predecessors of his divine shadow brains were, he got his memories back. So he ended up having free will. Mm-hmm. So he's no longer a murderous assassin. He just decided to protect Stanley Tweedle and Zev for the rest of his days, which were eternal as long as he had proto blood. But at any rate, and they kept him in a cryo chamber to preserve his proto blood, because once it wore out, then he was done.
But he needed
the fact
more blood.
that it takes you so long to explain the plot points of this show shows how overly convoluted it is.
Yeah.
I tried so hard when I was watching the hours and hours of this to boil it down. Like, give me the back of the VHS case quote of this entire show, and all I could come up with was like Star Trek, only horny and slimy.
And phobic and unaccepting of others, and I don't know.
Oh, dude. It has to be
if you want this
obvious to be insulting for me to pick up on it. Yeah. But when the very first time you recommended this show, you're like, Fuck you, Eshelman. We're gonna watch Lex.
Recommended is not the right word.
We were having a conversation about why this actually lasted 4 seasons, and I said, well, Zev, because she changed letters in her name when she changed actresses. But and you brought up the point, you're like, I liked her, she kicked a lot of ass. But even the main character, she can't kick ass without referencing the fact that she's half cluster lizard.
Right.
So I'm not a powerful woman. I'm a powerful woman who has half a lizard in her, So they couldn't even get that part right.
Mm-mm. Yeah. No, and I agree. That was the thing. It wasn't that she was a strong woman. She was a mutant. Otherwise.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got it now. Hitler's fever dream.
Hitler's fever.
I don't know, because they weren't really Aryan. Well, the one actress but
all the actors were, I think, except for the handful of Canadians they had. They imported a lot of the minor characters.
Oh, but so what I was saying about the one episode was Michael McNanus, who plays Kai, had way too much fun playing a slasher crazy serial killer.
Oh yeah,
and that was disturbingly somewhat of a fun episode to watch just because of that interaction where he was like popping out of toilets and slicing people up, and it was kind of insane, but at least sort of a nice break from their normal.
Yeah, it was definitely an homage, because you could just tell from the camera angles that they were using that they were recreating the 80s slasher movies. And I mean, they had the shower scene, like you said, he popped out of nowhere and attacked people. It was a lot of fun, because
and
you
he had
could
a really
tell
great
they
maniacal
appreciated
laugh.
it. Yes. I mean, for a guy that's 140% emo the entire show, except when like his alter ego exists for an episode, hearing him laugh, I think, was the creepiest part, because normally he's just so monotone.
Mm-hmm.
I have killed mothers. I have killed babies. I have killed senators. I have no emotion. Blah, blah, blah. Touch my pretty hair.
I have no wants. I don't really have needs. I just
the dead do not desire.
Yep.
Like, get over yourself, dude.
Like, the only other time he's emotive is like when he's being turned into a happy little tree by Oberon.
My favorite episode.
So
it was awesome.
See, I love the musical episode, as weird as that one was.
Was that the Oberon episode? I might have blinked out. I was going to say, was there another musical episode?
No, that was it.
There was the episode right at the end of, I want to say, season 2, where they had the opera about
the Brigadoon sort of episode.
Yeah. Like Kai's story being told to Kai as he's an actor in the play about himself.
Yeah.
Which, again...
Well, the whole universe is being destroyed.
Right.
How this show lasted 4 seasons.
Especially after season 3. Let's just...
Yeah.
Season 3 was the worst. So the light universe gets destroyed season 2. They end up in the dark universe. And the light universe, in case you care, gets destroyed by a creature. Was it Mantis, who ends up being like a bug hybrid?
Mantrid,
thank you.
Yes.
And he just goes along gobbling planets with his little cyborg arms with brains.
The Mantrid drones.
Yeah, he devoured the entirety of the light universe, and then they end up in the dark universe. And they were adrift for hundreds of years again.
Weren't they like cryogenically frozen for I want to say 3,000 years? Does that sound right?
I thought it was not that many. I thought it was more like a couple hundred from then on. Okay. But I might, or maybe 600.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I guess it's not really relevant.
Matter really.
But the plan was they were supposed to awaken periodically to see where they were.
Yes.
And as they were all asleep, people from these twin planets, fire and water, but it was from fire, came and basically ransacked the ship, broke up 790, stole Stanley and Zev, and left Kai frozen in his cryo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kai comes to, and he ends up rebooting 790, rebuilding actually, and then that's when 790 decides that 790 is now female and is in love with Kai. And they're not very accepting of this on the ship.
No, and again, also, that was like that heavy-handed homophobia where you can't have a male robot head be attracted to a male dead person. So if that attraction exists, one of them has to be female and one male.
So oddly, when 790 would go for a body, it would be a male body.
Right.
So it was very confused, but they kept telling him that, they kept telling the head that it was a he. They would not, Kai didn't care. The other two were like, nope, you're a he, not a she.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like, it's a fucking robot head. It's whatever it wants to be.
It's whatever it wants to be.
But when it decided it was a she, it also became extremely envious and homicidal, which tells you what they think about women in general. Like, okay, so there's 2 other people on the ship besides Kai, so they must die horribly and tragically. And then for the next 2 seasons, that's basically was 790 plotting against Zev and Stanley Tweedle for many horrendous deaths. It was just, but the fire and water thing was endless. So fire was basically supposed to be hell and water was supposed to be heaven. And fire kept trying to go take over heaven and destroy. It was endless. The longest season ever.
Your brain is melting. Your brain is melting.
Absolutely.
It's done. And the only highlight to it was Nigel Bennett. I mean,
and again, man, he's so good. And I think I told you this when we were still watching it, that he's one of those actors that you can't not look at. No matter what's going on in the scene, if he's on the camera, you're watching him because he's so interesting and captivating. But holy fuck, there were 40 hours of that dude doing nothing. Just saying, oh, I've got this awesome plan. And a season and a half from now, I'm going to implement it.
I'm going to implement it.
Yeah, it was just, it couldn't.
And
I think it was
another one of my pet
episodes,
peeves.
but it seemed like it was 113.
Yes, one of my pet peeves. Again, he's on a desert planet. He's in charge of said desert planet. Yet the water flask he carries around with him is this big. This big.
I guess that's all a real man needs, Mike.
Whatever. He didn't look very masculine drinking out of it, though. He's like, you are now my captive.
I mean,
well, he's British.
I'm just going to say it. This show had 4 seasons. We talked about Mockingbird Lane recently.
Yeah.
That had 1 episode, and it was the most brilliant episode ever. That didn't even get a full season. That got 1 episode.
And
how is that possible? And this 4 seasons.
Maybe Mockingbird Lane should have gone to SYFY Channel. They might have at least gotten a season out of it.
I mean, they're technically the same network because it's all Universal NBC.
Right.
But it's just.
But were they then?
Yeah, they were.
Because I thought the SYFY Channel has changed hands a couple of times.
I mean, for the most part, the last 20 plus years, they've been a part of the same umbrella. It's just SYFY Channel was their wicked stepchild.
Well, that takes them to 2000, and this actually ended in 2002, so it might actually proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, it's like this show is just so horrendous. And I'm surprised we all sat through all of it.
I think we were just hoping that maybe at some point you'd be like, okay. But no. I mean, even when they take it to Earth, they made some good commentaries to a degree, like the fact that we were self-destructive and basically going to end ourselves as a planet. But it's funny how they mocked Ohio and they almost got it right, but not quite,
Right, because we're a bunch of meat-eating, gun-toting maniacs. So
we're
nailed it. Yeah,
sure, why not?
Not that far off for a German Canadian production company.
Exactly,
they got Ohio down pat.
So there was that. But it was again another very long season that seemed to be going nowhere and did go nowhere.
Yeah. There was one scene, and it was right when they bought a house on Earth.
Yeah, that was the house in Ohio.
And they lived next door to their realtor, right? And there was one scene in that episode where she's leaving the house, and you can tell it's a green screen because she's walking towards the camera, but not moving, doing like that fake camera walk. And then the next scene, she's walking across the front of the house and it looks completely normal. But I'm like, this had to be some sort of money laundering scheme for one of the production companies to just funnel cash through this beast, but not spend anything on the actual production.
You might be right. We could go down that rabbit hole and really figure this out, but no.
It was just shit.
It's not worth it.
We also had the mortician making the Frankenhooker. Well, not really a Frankenhooker, but she kind of was. It's unfair. She was a woman who liked to have what she wanted when she wanted, and then she got run over by a thresher, was it?
Okay.
Something that chopped her into several pieces, so the mortician was sewing her back up. I don't know if you remember that. That's when they were on the run.
Yes. It was the girl he was in love with, and she wouldn't give him the time of day. So when she died, he's like, problem solved. I'll just rebuild her, but I need Kai's fake blood to make her come to life. Yeah. Oh God, it's so terrible. So terrible.
So
and even at the beginning when it was better, the fact that they had to have different characters explain the entire plot line every 3 episodes to you. You know, you had Kai would repeat it once in a while. There was that like soothsayer that he talked to that told him he was the last of the Brunnen G that was going blah, 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 destiny. All of them had to stop 4 minutes and tell the entire plot again. I'm like, either because this is a mess or you think nothing of your viewers, or maybe a combination of the two.
Or it's just telling people, hey, you can watch this show at any given point and you'll know what's happening.
Yeah, that's it.
Because we're going to tell you.
Nothing, yeah. So we didn't need to watch all 4 seasons, and yet we did that to ourselves.
Right.
I was hoping early on that one of the side characters, Jiggerata, would actually become a bigger character than she was. She was actually interesting. You know, I loved watching her on the screen, and she comes back later to play a bunch of different characters too. But just
eventually, the Pope.
Yes, the first female golfing Pope.
That wasn't even Catholic. Yeah,
she was awesome. I mean, I loved her. She was a cannibal. She was
hero.
A badass. Yeah, I mean, and she didn't take shit from anybody.
Nope.
And they nuked her. I'm like, I don't think she's going to come back from this. When she blew up, she was on planet Tim Curry when it exploded.
Tim Curry.
I can't remember the name of it, and I'll be damned if I'm going to look it up. It was
one of the Brunnen G planets because it was his ancestors.
What it had like rust tones. They each had their own different color. This one was sort of an orangey one. That's how I remember them.
I just remember Tim Curry's character trying to make Stanley Tweedle birth him or something. I was just,
Oh, dude, that was so gross. Yes.
Again, how does something that has Tim Curry.
I mean, or the Rutger Hauer episode. With, what was it? The pattern? Was it that they kept drinking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you have these great actors in sci-fi and horror, and they just wasted them.
Yep.
And they
I hope they made bank. Like, I can't imagine it. Like, I could just see Tim Curry and Rutger Hauer and Ryan tell me, like, fuck it, you pay me? Sure.
Yeah,
I don't think either of them were at a low point in their career either. It's not like they went to Rutger Hauer and said, you know, hey, buddy, you want to make $800 the hard way? Put on this lipstick and read this script.
I mean, I just feel like they were like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do it.
Right? Like, this sounds dumb as hell, and I'm not doing anything this afternoon. Let's go.
Let's go. That's right.
Which, speaking of which, if you're not doing anything that afternoon and you just want to see something dumb as hell, you can watch this shit for free. Don't ever pay money for it. I think it's on Tubi and Vudu. It might even be on Roku. So if you're really intrigued by what we're talking about, go find it for free streaming. Don't.
It's on YouTube as well.
Yeah, don't spend money.
If you really want to watch it, yeah, it's wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
There's no way to segue, so let's talk about our second show.
Yeah.
Happy.
So I had paired these together because they were both kink, in my opinion. So like, Lex definitely was a kink. Happy had shit tons of kink.
You know what? I'll give Lex more props for the kink because it seemed like the characters that were outside of the norm in that show just were. the kink in Happy seemed forced, and it seemed like they shoved it down the viewer's throat too.
They're like, we're not even going to just give you some kink. We are going to give you all the kink.
Right. And that's the only point.
We're even going to reference Shining in it because fuck it, why not?
Right. Yeah. And I think, Jean-Paul, you said you watched this when it was on all the way through.
Yeah.
I made it 2 episodes into season 2. I absolutely loved season 1. It was a lot of fun. But during season 2, they were shoving the kink part down your throat so much that, and again, it was so forced. You know, it's like, okay, Smoothie, yes, he's a masochist, but to have to bring that up every scene he's in, you know, it's like there's no other facet of this guy's persona that we're going to show you, except for the fact that he's a homicidal maniac. But also torturing him does you no good because he's really, really enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah.
So I did some deep dives, and I can give you an answer why that happened.
Let's hear it.
So here's what I read. So they were happy they got to do season 1. It's based off a very popular, bizarre, and kinky graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when Universal SYFY did this, they said, we'll give you the first season. If it does well, we'll give you a second season. By the 4th episode, it got renewed. Then the creator said, okay, all that stuff that you didn't let us do in season 1, we want to do it in season 2.
I gotcha.
And that is why I feel that was the demise of the show. Because you're right, season 2, they forced a lot of it down your throat every second. Instead of like trying to keep it a really cool story and doing the, I called it the, what everybody loves, Law and Order, and you have an actor from Law and Order in the show,
right?
Like a Law and Order show with weird comic book kink, which was season 1. Season 2, they're like, no, let's just turn the kink up to the highest level.
Not even just the kink. Just turn the whole fucking oddball, what the fuck, up in season 2.
Right?
and they it sucks because they dialed down like the cool part of season 1, which was kind of like the mystery and figuring out everything. And even Happy himself, who went from being an innocent, imaginary best friend to season 2, where they made him do some weird ass
yeah.
And it pissed me off because I'm like, I really enjoyed season 1. I thought this was a good show. And because Patton Oswalt is one of my favorite comedians of all time. I love that guy. I mean, I watch reruns of Kings and Queens solely for him when he's on it. But season 2, it killed the show, and rightfully so. I mean, they did it by their own.
I had watched season 1 when it first came out, and I started watching season 2 when it first came out and lost interest. And for those of you who don't know about Happy, basically you have a cop that totally lost his shit and ended up not being a cop anymore, and just an alcoholic, drug addict, low budget hitman is basically what he became. And that was Christopher Maloney from Law and Order. And turns out he has a daughter he didn't know about. He had a wife. His wife dumped him because he was cheating on her with his partner, and also the drugs and alcohol and all that fun stuff. So she never told him she was pregnant. The daughter ends up being kidnapped by, we'll get into it, but she ends up being kidnapped by Santa Claus. She's sold into a sex ring.
Say it, by Santa Claus.
We'll go with that. She has an imaginary best friend, which is Happy, right here. Happy's like a unicorn Pegasus who's all blue, and he's voiced by Patton Oswalt, and who does just an amazing job, by the way.
Good.
So good. Actually, the whole series, I'd say, had great acting in it. You can't really get mad about it. But once she gets kidnapped, she sends her imaginary best friend to go find a dad she's never met but only seen a picture of. So in her mind, his dad is a super cop hero and not basically a junkie killing people for a score, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And because he is a junkie, he can see the imaginary friend and doesn't know that he's trying to save his daughter initially. He just knows that he's being haunted by this little blue Pegasus unicorn that's super perky and happy. And it keeps saying that you have to come find Hannah, which is the little girl's name, and save her. She's been kidnapped. And eventually, he describes Santa Claus, but that's a whole different story. So that's all of season 1 is just trying to get the daughter, basically, and then discovering all the creepy little lines and where it all ties to, like, mafia up into this, up into like the wishies and
the weird sex cult.
Yeah, the weird sex cult, the bug.
Yeah.
What the hell was the name of the guy? The main guy that was the bug. I can't remember his name.
Sonny.
Thank you, Sonny.
Sonny Shines.
Sonny Shines. That was it.
That actor creeped me the fuck out a couple times in the show.
Yes. I'll tell you what, the acting, like you said, Jenny, the acting, spot on. But they were given nothing to work with.
Yeah, but I agree. Like, the plot of season 1 wasn't bad. I mean, it gets a little weird with the bug rave and the wishies being amorphous jelly
aliens, right?
Beings.
Yeah. Bugs.
And then you have the demon, the blue demon. Well, he's not blue, but who ends up possessing Blue.
Yes.
And so it gets a little weird season 1 outside of the kink. Also Smoothie with no genitals who, with the pee fetish. I mean, it was just, there's a lot. But season 2 just totally goes off the rocker. But I mean, like, season 1, like, the first time you run into Christopher Maloney's character, he busts in on a prostitute going down on a guy who I believe at the time was dressed like Santa Claus, and she's in some furry outfit, wasn't she, at that time too?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
But that Santa Claus was about to murder the hooker once he came. So he, not that the cop cared or the hitman cared, but he ends up shooting the Santa Claus, saving the girl just as a side effect. And the whole point he's doing is so he can execute a hit against basically a mafia girl's sons.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is carrying the possessed spirit he's supposed to pass along to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, it pushed the boundaries for what I think, like, regular cable TV can actually show. On a lot of levels, because there was stuff I'm just like, how is this on regular TV?
Right.
This isn't HBO. This isn't Netflix. This isn't paid service. This is, Sci-Fi Channel. And some reruns were being shown at 8:00 at night sometimes. And I'm like, this is not right.
It was hyper violent. And
that's
one part of the show that I loved. I mean, they did it so well. You could tell that the choreographing was top notch. It was really, really good. I mean, yes, it was gory for the sake of being gory. But yeah, it was very well shot. There was one scene in season 2 where the main characters are in the retirement home. It turns out that it's all, the Nazis that have been hiding in the United States are all in this retirement home. And Nick, the main character, ends up killing like all of them. But it's over the course of this beautifully shot scene where he's just destroying these 80-year-old men. And, just breaking limbs and reaching through them and tearing their hearts out and all kinds of disgusting stuff. But, oh my God, it was just, I rewound it and watched it again. I'm like, this is so well shot. It makes, the 4 hours of season 2 that I had to watch to get to this almost worth it.
How about Booger showing up, though?
What is his line at the end of that? Greatest generation, my ass, or something like that, after he kills like 20 80-year-old men.
That scene reminded me of The Kingsman, with the church scene in the Kingsman.
Yep.
Where it's just like hyper violent, over the top. That's why I was like so shocked to see everything that I saw on this show on cable television.
Mm-hmm.
and like, I mean, I doubt they would ever air this on NBC, obviously.
No.
But if they did, holy
But it's on Netflix now if you want to watch it.
No, don't get me wrong. You're right. It is on Netflix. Because I remember when it hit Netflix, season 1, my mother-in-law goes, "Have you ever heard of this show, Happy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mary, I have." She's like, "Well, Wayne and I are watching it. It's really weird." I go, "How far are you?" She's like, "About 3 episodes." I go, "You should stop." I mean, I love my mother-in-law, but I'm just so shocked that she was like, "Yeah, I watched the show." I'm like, because she likes Patton Oswalt as well. And that, I think that's what was so great about it. I think that got people hooked on that show because people do love Patton Oswalt. And he's wonderful on Twitter. So when the show was on, he would like tweet out, "Hey guys, you need to watch this episode of Happy."
Right.
Crazy stuff happens.
And again, Jenny, you touched on it, how that character like broke bad basically in the second season and started doing all of this questionable stuff. But season 1, he was the perfect foil to Nick Sachs. He was just, he was goodness. And there was nothing seedy about him at all. Like he would correct Nick when he swore. And then you go a season later and he's smoking and having sex. And, I think he killed somebody too.
He does kill somebody.
Horn. Yeah. So it was, I don't know. It was not in character. I get that he was depressed that, his little girl grew up and, imaginary friends just sort of pop out of existence when their kids grow up. But since he had Nick there as a raging alcoholic, he could connect with him. But to have him go from that adorable, just pile of happiness to this dark, brooding character just didn't do it for me. No. He wasn't the reflection of Nick anymore. He was just,
there was no moral compass.
Yes, he was dragged into the filth, and that's just not as fun.
Actually, I think that was kind of the whole problem with season 2. There was no moral compass left. The little
That's
girl
correct.
lost her shit. The mother lost her shit.
Yep.
Nick never had his shit together. And like, I don't know, the thing that bothered me most, I was like, your daughter was a kidnap victim and you will spend $40,000 to send her to a corrective Catholic school, but not fucking therapy? Like,
right?
Amen.
I was never a good parent, but even I took stepkids to therapy when they showed no issues like that. We're not kidnapped by Santa Claus to be sold. I'm like, nothing. No. Okay. Fine.
Right.
But however, there was Anne Margaret.
That was amazing. And I tell you what, she looked phenomenal too. Like all of my, what movie was it? Tommy, when I was younger, that she was in. That I think was my sexual awakening, actually. but to see her dancing and enjoying herself and having fun, that was phenomenal.
She actually, it was the highlight for me. It was Anne Margaret's.
Yep.
She's Sunny Shine's wife, ironically. And I don't know. I think my favorite part is when Happy's telling her about Amanda, which is Nick's ex-wife / the mother of Hannah, the little girl that was kidnapped in season 1 and is being trained as an assassin in season 2. It's like, she's here. She's stuck. She's pregnant. And like, you just hear him go, "Oh, in my living room. She's pregnant." Okay.
Right.
And she shows up in the living room and is like, "Take your pregnant ass."
Right.
I don't know who you are, but that's my man. It's just like so funny the way she pulled that off. Or even the musical number she did with Happy earlier on when Nick was trying to steal the videotapes. That was lovely as well. She was just, Anne Margaret's a goddess.
Yes, absolutely. She was the highlight. And I remember when this was on, seeing her in one of the commercials. I'm like, maybe I'll write it out just to see an Anne Margaret scene or two, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. After the third Easter outfit that Sunny Shines had on when he was talking to the Pope, like, there's so much more I could be doing with these 44 minutes. So I bid you adieu, Happy. And then you came along and made me watch the whole thing. So thank you for that. I will say that as bad as season 2 was, what it led up to at the very end, sort of the build up for season 3,
would have
looked
been
like it was going to be a lot
something
of
else.
fun. Yeah. Like you had this
That's
cult of female assassins going on, and that just looked like a blast. I'm like, yes, let's focus on some of the side characters and get away from this overarching tale of woe and misery and do something fun. And then poof, the show's gone.
yeah. I was like, oh, you finally were doing something. Because yeah, they had the Straga, right? They had the old witch from season 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who, you know,
Yep.
beginning of season 2 totally assassinates the mafia sister, like just knitting needle to the ear to try to trap the demon in the blue who was in jail at the time.
Right.
But yeah. And who ends up in jail herself and eventually, you know, dies. But yeah, I mean, that was an interesting character to begin with because you didn't know what they were really doing with her in season 1. You know? Like you were like, what the? Okay, I mean, I could see you go to an old Straga when you want some, you know.
Right.
But what the fuck is going on here? And then it just gets weirder and weirder. Then you have the society, and I was fascinated by where it was going to go.
Yeah.
But in the end, season 2 ended so darkly. I mean, you have the little girl whose mother's now in jail. Her dad's dead. You know, she was going to shoot Sunny. In fact, she almost did shoot Sunnyshine. And the only reason she wasn't successful is because Nick jumped in front and took the bullet. So she ended up killing her dad, effectively.
Right.
And then her mom shoots Sunny anyway and ends up in jail for manslaughter. You know, all because Sonny was basically the man in charge that orchestrated the kidnapping of all these little kids that he was basically selling into sex slavery. And nobody was going to do anything because there was no evidence.
Right.
So she gets manipulated by Smoothie and the demon into becoming the assassin. But, you know, and that was the thing I had a problem with anyway. Like, you know, kids aren't stupid. And yeah, I know they could be manipulated, but it was like, you knew this guy was bad. You know what I mean? Like, you really knew this guy was bad. It wasn't, you know, there's no way you really buy into his like sudden.
He was wearing a tie and a short sleeve shirt. You don't trust anybody wearing a tie and short sleeve shirts. They're selling you drugs or God. And either way, you don't need that shit in your life.
Elder Young is a wonderful man. He later goes does porn. Elder Young. And if you understand that reference, you're a wonderful person.
But
because Jesus and I love you.
Yes, that little girl has years of therapy ahead of her after she joins the League of Assassins or whatever the hell was going to happen. John Paul, you said you researched this. Is this license like just done now that SYFY killed it after 2 seasons and nobody can ever touch this again?
No.
Really?
Because they do want to make a movie, from what I heard. Because they did set up, you know, season 3. They do want to make a movie.
Okay.
Whether or not it actually gets made. I mean, I guess from what I read, that there was some interest when SYFY picked it up to broadcast it. And if it does well, that was the plan, that SYFY was going to make the follow-up movie to actually give this closure.
Okay.
Whether or not it happens, I don't know. It's been, at least 2 years now since it's been off. So probably not. But then again, we don't know. We live in COVID world where movies have been delayed for several years now.
Absolutely.
So who knows if somebody needs to make a quick buck,
right?
I mean,
$20 million going through their files movie. And say, all right, what do we own that's pretty cheap that we can put together?
Yeah, I mean, I can see $20 million being thrown at this and then making a 2-hour movie, hour and a half, whatever.
Are they still working off of content from the graphic novel, or is this all just uncharted territory from here?
Apparently that there is several graphic novels that explain a lot. I haven't really gotten into. I thought about it when I first watched the show, but then I thought, well, I don't want it to spoil it for me.
Right.
But now I'm probably now that we're talking about it, I'm kind of like, maybe I should end up buying them. I had them in my Amazon cart for the longest time. So
I mean, there's always the library as an option, right?
That's true. Yep. Maybe the library does that.
I live and die by the Libby app. That's absolutely right.
You're right. So that might be another avenue as well to be like, at least I didn't buy it,
right?
So, but again, I really wanted to love this show.
Yeah.
Because season 1, I did. I told so many people about season 1. Aside from my in-laws, but like people that I knew that like weird, comic book, and then like I said, the way I explained it, I said, just imagine Law and Order if it was a comic book with some weird sex stuff. I mean, it's.
But there's no actual Law and Order to it.
I mean.
Maybe Law and Disorder.
Law and Disorder. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Youngstown's version of Police. I mean, owned and operated by the mafia since 19.
I'm the sister.
But
I mean, you can watch it on Netflix and make your own decision on it. I mean, like I said, I did find it better than watching through Lex. I mean, it's a shorter watch.
Yeah.
But
it was a nice diverse cast, or at least somewhat diverse cast, and happy, just phenomenal acting.
Mm-hmm. The acting is great.
The storyline kept you engaged because you just never knew. Like you'd think, okay, she's about nope. Oh, wait, what?
Right.
What? Oh, hey, look, no, they don't. Wait, Santa's back. Shit, what the fuck is this? Is this the Island of the Misfit Toys base beat because he drilled the holes in all their heads? What? Did nobody notice these people were missing? I mean, it had kept you guessing. Like you kind of understood the overall plot, and you kind of like figured out that Sunny Shine was like the crux of it early on. Well, I mean, you could have, but it's still the way they connected it and who went around what, and it just was interesting the way they.
Yeah, it was entertaining. And the production value was again phenomenal. It was very well put together. Yeah, it's just it went off the rails. It was like they were trying to throw too many concepts simultaneously into it, and they didn't have the breadth to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I'd also say season 2 was not so much of a surprise. Like when you saw what was happening, you knew it was going to happen. Like you knew that it didn't take long for it to be easily revealed that they were going to manipulate this little girl into killing Sunny Shine.
Right.
And the whys of it was kind of like, who really fucking cares?
Yeah.
And like the things that kept you guessing were things that you just didn't really care about anyway. Like, what the fuck was she pregnant with? Okay, wishy spores, I guess.
Weird Teletubbies is what I call it.
Go for Amanda, who just flamed them all up. She's like, oh, really? Oh, and I love the whole scene when she went and found out she was pregnant. Apparently, she went to like the wrong fucking clinic to get her test because that was just awful. They're like, you mean murder your baby?
Right.
No, the parts of the baby will be stuck inside you and infect you. I'm like, where the fuck did you go? And why did you go? Like, you could have gone to Planned Parenthood. They tend to give you
well, remember, she did lose her job, so she didn't have insurance. So probably the only
Planned Parenthood
free clinic in that area was probably church sponsored.
But Planned Parenthood. I mean, I know they
lost their funding in that area years ago.
But I think it was still kind of there at that time. Yeah, it was bad. I was like, whoa. And I loved her face. I wanted to see Amanda murder that woman. That was the thing that I did not get out of that. I wanted, as soon as she said that crazy shit, I would have loved to see Amanda take like a tray and just like,
that nurse or doctor was about the only side character that actually survived too. It seemed like everybody else just got swept up in these massacres that kept happening at least once an episode too.
My bad happy moment, which is just, this is not really a good thing, but you had that guy that was her side piece, right? She's had crazy sex with I forgot what the character's name was, but he shows up at that house somehow at Sunny Shine's house where Amanda had been being kept while she was gestating. And as she's being loaded up into a ambulance to be taken to give birth to the spores. And the guy is just and this is bad, but so like super chill and nice the whole time. Like even when that ex-husband shows up and nearly beats him up, he's like, no, It's okay. And then like he sees her like obviously pregnant, which, you know, he'd seen her like 2 days before. So something in his brain should have connected. This is not right. Did not. But he's like, you're pregnant. I don't even care whose it is. I'll be the daddy.
Right.
Ends up being forced to stick his head under the wheel of an ambulance and get his head smushed. And Amanda's like clearly high on the pregnancy hormones. And she's like, he was so nice. I don't know why, but that had me laughing so hard. Because it's just like, well, that solves that problem.
There was a scene early on, I want to say it might have been the first episode of season 2, where Nick was going in. He had like sent his prostitute friend in for a job in like this abandoned warehouse, realized something was questionable about it. So he goes in to check on her, and it turns out that they were harvesting her kidneys.
Yeah.
And the fight scene that takes place was so good because he's sliding on the blood on this concrete floor. I mean, just slipping and sliding all over the place while he's killing all of these guys. And I don't know. I laughed and laughed and laughed during that scene. That it was so good. I loved every second of it.
And wonderful. Great choreographed fight scenes in both seasons, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Again, I wonder if this show was animated, if it would have been easier for people to take in.
I don't think I would have liked it as much animated.
Okay. I mean,
honestly, I liked it better that it wasn't.
The little reason why I say that is I just started watching The Invincibles on Amazon.
Okay.
And it's out there. There's a lot of violence, a lot of blood, a lot of weird stuff going on. And I thought, well, it's based off a comic book property as well. I wonder if people can kind of associate better with that in their heads. I don't know. But this show, like I said, bonkers as hell, but damn entertaining in some parts. Little over the top with the kink in season 2. Definitely agree with that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
I mean, you know, they did flay a man and then stick him in the middle of a chocolate bunny.
Oh, that was so gross.
Yeah.
Those poor little kids, you know. I hope that they just gave free therapy to them.
Oh, so gross.
I mean, I guess I suggest people, if they really want something bizarre, give it a whirl.
It's eye candy is all it is.
I
mean, if you enjoy hyper violence and Patton Oswalt, then I'd recommend it.
I definitely recommend season 1. I just think it was very well acted. It was quirky as hell.
Yes.
The kink was just kind of in there, you know. And they never really shamed anybody for it, which is really cool. Even like the weird scene where Smoothie first comes after Nick when he's in the hospital. And like Nick's like, you have a pee fetish, don't you? And then he does this whole weird thing after he kicks everybody's ass where he's like mimicking peeing on somebody with the fire
extinguisher.
It's still like, it's almost like he's mocking him, but not really mocking him.
Right.
Like, it's not like he's making, but he's like, this is for you. You can I'll give you a free.
No, they didn't really shame anybody. It was just they
just
beat
like,
your head, you know, just like this person is a degenerate, and here is why he is a degenerate, over and over and over again.
I don't maybe, but I just thought they just kind of like smoothed it in there. Like even like they didn't shame the prostitutes. The only people that shame were like, you know, people that abused their wives and or babies. You know what I mean? That's who they went after. And I just thought it was just like this weird little.
Well, you got to draw a line somewhere, you know?
Well, I mean, because that's not kink, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not something that, you know, yeah. But I thought it was just smoothly integrated. It just took you to a world that you may not be in it. And just, I thought it was well done and funny because of it. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I thought season 2 was different, like, it wasn't even so much they were slamming the kink over it. It just was like, but is that kink anymore? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
they turned it up to 11.
Yep.
And
now we're just stuck flat out. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know
yeah.
I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, did you need to stick the flayed body in the chocolate bunny to make Easter great again? Which I did really love how they.
I mean, yes, there was a couple of things like that.
Totally fucking with
right.
MAGA.
Yeah.
And that whole group, they were like, "This is how dumb you look to us." You know?
Yeah.
So I admired that, of course.
Yep. It seemed like they had some really cool ideas for scenes and not quite enough plot to push them away from each other. So they just had to, like, I don't know, plot spackle where you would just fill in the empty spaces with just the weirdest garbage. Like, you had the nun scene at the very beginning. Oh, that was awesome.
I really enjoyed that scene.
And then you had to have something between the next big choreographed scene. So they're like, well, how about aliens and a demon and a plot to reinvent Easter, but at the same time, we're going to assassinate Sunny Shines. Okay, just shake that and put it in there and hope that it makes sense.
But a side note, what about the romance between Blue and Big Show? I thought that was adorable.
That was great.
That was so adorable. I was like, that's so cute. And then, he ends up killing his love. But anyway. But yeah, that was also, I thought, a nice moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it was cheesy as hell, but it was so well acted. You enjoyed watching the rapport between those two.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the weird ways that the demon killed people was very, like, creative, but extremely gross at the same time.
So much.
Not very well choreographed in this. You know what I mean? Because there was no choreography to do. But I loved how they kind of kept that a sort of mystery. Like, you just see Blue in the infirmary, and then you see a picture of where there's 6 guys with their heads stuck in 6 toilets.
Right.
Like, you're like, how? What?
What just
later on,
happened
you figure
here?
out it's mine. Well, they make it clear how it's done, but it's like, what happened?
Oh, well, it is what it is. And thank God that there aren't more seasons of it that I'd have to sit and watch, too. Because I have a feeling that as cool as a 3rd season looked on paper, based purely on the teaser, it wouldn't pan out.
I think it would have been tedious.
Yep, I concur.
But I don't know. Though I would say definitely watch at least season 1 of Happy. I just really think anybody who enjoys the kind of shit that we generally enjoy, you'll get a kick out of season 1 of Happy. And it's on Netflix right now. As far as Lex, maybe don't do that to yourself.
Unless you're our happy viewer who left us some beautiful commentary on the YouTube.
From our season 1, who couldn't even get the names of the characters straight, but knew so much about it. Oh well,
that's right. We love our
a
viewers.
hater. We're very proud of that fact.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations, I guess.
Yeah,
we invite anybody to criticize us. If you want to email me directly, it's schlockfest75@gmail.com.
Slow down.
schlockfest75@gmail.
Okay. Be ready.
I tell you, you can email me directly. But frankly, I won't read it. It's just it all like that looks like spam to me.
Yeah.
You can feel free to try to message us on Facebook. One of us will read that. We probably won't respond, but no, I'm kidding. Actually, probably one of us won't respond.
We'll respond.
Yeah, but buyer beware on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know I seem nice, but
do you though?
No.
Do you seem nice?
Do you? Yeah.
Do you?
You both met me is the word you would use to describe me nice.
Have you watched this show before?
Yeah, that's tell people. Jenny, she's such a nice person. It's just not something you ever hear.
Yeah.
You might hear that crazy bitch though.
Oh, come on.
But yeah. So at any rate, folks, there's a lot to see and Happy, a lot to melt your mind in Lex, in not a good way.
No.
So I will say,
not worth the 40 hours at all.
I will say season 4 had some pretty astute commentary on the state of planet Earth in general. It definitely based on the Americas from an outsider view, but it's just was done so chaotically, horribly, and overridden by just stupid that you got lost.
Yeah.
For the most
Lost
It's
in
like,
translation.
yeah, I mean, they were in Vietnam, and they mocked Vietnamese people. They mocked, Vietnam vets. When they were on the Fire Planet, and they had the male slaves, and like all of them were homosexual in the room, and all they wanted to do when they were freed was to dress like women and sing disco.
Yeah.
Like every one of them, really. There's no variety here whatsoever.
It's apparently what. Yeah, no, it was awful. It's very, as you pointed out, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic.
So bad.
Toxic masculinity. It's every kind of.
If you have to watch it, maybe the pilot and the second episode, and then just get out.
I mean, you might want to look at the episodes with Tim Curry and Rutger Hauer, just because Tim Curry and Rutger Hauer, but still be prepared.
Rutger Hauer in lipstick getting high, too. Not just Rutger Hauer.
I'm a pretty lady.
Yeah. I will give this one thing about Blacks. The way they transitioned between the actresses for Sev was somewhat creative. Like normally a series will just put in a new actress and not put in, it's not like they just give a background story to why the actress looks a little different than she did from the season before. So, I mean, I guess that was kudos to them for writing into the story the actors change.
So what was, okay, so Zev with a Z died and turned into a vat of gravy, which then was picked up by Laika, right?
The plant.
Who was a plant woman who sucked the gravy into a plant and spit out Zev, but now it's spelled with an X instead of a Z, and a completely different actress.
Yep.
Right?
So to me, that actress looks super similar to the first one.
I like the first actress better personally.
I did too. I loved her accent
in terms of acting as well.
Yeah.
So
that wig she had was just like the perfect color. I could almost taste cotton candy through the screen. Like, I want to lick your hair so bad and see if it dissolves.
But yes, like that was the transformation from actress 1 to actress 2 was the plant or the protein sludge. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kudos. It was unique, that's for sure.
Like I said, mostly they don't even bother to explain it. And this one, they were like, okay, so we're going to get new actresses. So I guess we're going to write into it how that's happening.
Yep.
Plant sludge. It's very weird.
Everything was sludge.
Is that how you're going to explain your next co-host, Jenny?
Well, it's always been the same co-host. We just, we use plant sludge to make them look.
That's right.
So the next person's going to be Jean Paul.
The Wamsleys. Well. It's all just
Jean Paul with an X.
That's right.
It's a Jean Paul.
Jean Paul. So Jenny, let's tease our next episode. Since you said the Wamsleys.
I did, yeah. So far, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we seem to keep having the Wamsleys and Mike back because they like us for some reason, or they like the show enough. It could be one of the two. So the Wamsleys are going to be back again for our next episode, and it's going to be Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh,
Mike, you want to be on that one too? We'll invite you.
No, you know what? I'm still licking my wounds from watching Lex all this time. You can pick something else, but give me a buffer, man. I have to watch good TV for a while now, like optical saltines, just to get that taste out of my mouth.
Well, I mean, something to think about. We do have on our upcoming list the sci-fi series Ascension. If you want to follow
how long is that?
It's actually only one season. I want to say it's like 5 or 6 episodes. Maybe it's 10. I don't know.
It's amateur shit. Give me something that's like 80 hours long and garbage. I don't want to eat out of the gutter. I want to eat a landfill.
Fine, I was trying to give you something good, but
I will stay in my lane. I get it. I'm Oscar the Grouch on your show.
Mike, in the next episode, I'm just going to have you watch all of our Schlockmess episodes and critique those. That'll give you 15 plus hours? Or more.
Yeah.
If you want something horrible, like we'll put our brains together. We'll come up.
We'll put our brains together. Yeah.
Just one.
You know what? SYFY, like you said, it's 20 plus years old. They have produced some terrible television in those 2 decades.
I mean, there is the Invisible Man. There is the Fifth Wave or the First Wave. First Wave, I think it was. Those are options.
I loved Invisible Man. Yeah, I'll watch those again in a heartbeat. That was so good. It was so bad. But whatever you want, I don't care.
Fine.
Find something for me to do. I'll be back.
Okay.
We will love to have you back.
We'll give you a break. So,
Thanks. I mean, can I plug my stuff while I'm here?
That's what I say, Mike.
Since I've wasted my entire Friday night on you guys, can I plug my shit while I'm here?
Oh, now we're a waste.
Plug away.
That's fine.
Shameless plug.
So,
shameless plug.
Besides doing this show every few months and enjoying the hell out of it, I also host another podcast called Bum's Corner Coast to Coast, where we mock people's life choices from the AP Newswire. My brother and I have a radio show on Spotify called Sounds Like, where each episode we pick a different theme and talk about the different songs that remind us of that. And I just started one called Your Island Sucks, where I critique someone's desert island selections. John Paul was just on my episode 2, and we have the Jenny episode to record, I think, within the next week.
Yep,
so, and again, that's another Spotify exclusive. So look them up, track me down, and don't send me hate mail because I'm way more sensitive than these two.
Send it towards me. Again, Schlockfest75.
Schlockfest75 at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
That's where you can send my hate mail to because he'll read it.
Right on.
All right, John Paul. You want to plug your other stuff?
We got an upcoming Schlockfest episode. I'm going to make Randy watch Robo Ninja with the great Burt Ward. You know, Robin from Batman and Robin days.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's the only famous person in it, but Robo Ninja. That's coming up. You know, and if you want to have fun, last month's episode we did Tekken 2, where I introduced the world to my younger brother and his love affair of toys and his his company, which unfortunately has an unfortunate name of Trans Hunter.
Ooh, shit.
And
it's about Transformers.
If you combine Transformers
being the toy
and Bounty Hunter into one word. Yes,
unfortunately, not very forward thinking on that one.
He was not. But hey, if you're looking for any kind of toy needs from your childhood, he can probably get them for you. So, yeah,
good to know. Okay, Trans Hunters.
So Aaron has put up there, our host, or has said that fun pictures come up if you Google it. So
no, I don't have my safe search on this computer. So we're good.
You can't find
wait till I go back to work and they have all the cool filters, and then I'll look it up.
Trans-Hunter on Twitter.
You really got to just talk to him.
I've tried to talk to him about it, but you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, on that note, I'm Jenny. Aside from this, I also have Girls Go Schools with 2 of my other friends, Rebecca Cunningham and Betsy White. And we just recorded the episode of Psycho that eventually be out there for you when poor Aaron, our producer, has a chance to get around to it. So give that a watch if you want. And meanwhile, feel free to watch either Happy or Lex. They're both streaming for, Netflix, obviously you have a subscription there, but I'm pretty sure you can probably find Happy somewhere free if you look and are innovative. But Lex is definitely free out there because God's help anybody that would pay money.
Yeah, I still felt ripped off.
It was free and I had to watch commercials and I was like, wait, what? This isn't fair. But thanks for tuning in again. Remember, send all your mail to schlockfest75@gmail.com. Feel free to comment away.
We want the comments. Let's hear those comments.
Even if you hate us, that means you love us. So bring it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, thanks everyone.
We are with you, dark men whose days shall end, singing praise to you.
Hi.
Oh, look, we gotta get you out of here.
I appreciate the gesture, Stanley, but it is not necessary.
Well, do you want to be a tree?
I do not want to be a tree. I am a tree. Dark men whose days shall end, singing praise to you.